Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your November the 11th, just for today, in a meditation. From surrender to acceptance. We surrender quietly and let the God of our understanding take care of us. That comes from the basic text, page 26. Surrender and acceptance are like infatuation and love. Infatuation begins when we encounter someone special. Infatuation requires nothing but the acknowledgement of the object of our infatuation. For infatuation to become love, however, requires a great deal of effort. That initial connection must be slowly, patiently nurtured into a lasting, durable bond. It's the same with surrender and acceptance. We surrender when we acknowledge our powerlessness. Slowly, we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can give us the care we need. Surrender turns to acceptance when we let this power into our lives. We examine ourselves and let our God see us as we are. Having allowed the God of our understanding access to the depths of ourselves, we accept more of God's care. We ask this power to relieve us of our shortcomings and help us amend the wrongs we've done. Then we embark on a new way of life, improving our conscious contact and accepting our higher powers' continuing care, guidance, and strength. Surrender, like infatuation, can be the beginning of a lifelong relationship. To turn surrender into acceptance, however, we must let the God of our understanding take care of us each day. Just for today, my recovery is more than infatuation. I have surrendered, Today, I will nurture my conscious contact with my higher power and accept that power's continuing care for me. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. From surrender to acceptance. I like the discussion, infatuation versus love, right? I think the majority of us have been infatuated. Infatuated is that initial response to someone, and then we become interested enough to engage them and start learning more about them. A lot of times somewhere down the road and getting in that process, because it does take time to form a bond with someone that is long lasting. Generally, what happens for us is that somewhere in that process, we become either infatuated with someone else, or we decide that what it's going to take to develop it into love is not worth the effort, right? That happens a lot for us. Now, some people actually are infatuated and confuse that with being in love, and they end up in relationships that, based on the behavior, it becomes apparent that love is not like the driving force of that relationship. A lot of times those relationships don't last. Sometimes they last far beyond the expiration date. But generally, you can tell by the way a person is behaving whether or not they've come away from the infatuation and moved into love, or if they misunderstood the infatuation and now they're in a relationship that they can barely get out of because they misunderstood that. So I think the common term that we use around here would be lust versus love, right? Okay. So we're familiar with that more. Infatuation is one of those, I don't know, kind of old school terminologies that describes lust in so many ways, right? So now we're taking it out of the context of one human to another, and we're taking it into our relationship with God. I personally am at the stage where I let my relationship with God determine how I interact with other people, right? Are there different ways to behave with other people based on my relationship with God? Absolutely, right? But in this setting, in this particular meditation, it's saying now we've got an understanding of how human relationships work. Let's translate that into where you are with the God of your understanding. And that it takes a process to move out of the initial stages of engagement with God and moving into now this is a loving and caring relationship that I'm in with God. I'm interested in God, and God is interested in me. And now we're going into the deeper areas of relating back and forth, relating to one another, comparing that to dating someone. We're moving out of infatuation and going away from the dating to saying that we're together, right? And from together, sometimes we move into we're married, and now we have children, right? And now we're growing old together. That's, in a sense, what we're trying to do with our relationship with God is move out of the rudimentary stage and move into the stage where there's absolute surrender to God. And that there's nothing through prayer and meditation that we seek to withhold from the God that we claim to have an intimate relationship with. So this is a very beautiful meditation. And I just, for me personally, I enjoy my relationship with God. I don't ever see myself not enjoying it. Are there hard asks sometimes, right? In my 11th step, asking for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry it out. Yeah, in that 11th step, sometimes there's some revelation of some things that is the will of God for me, but wasn't on my to-do list, right? So yeah, there's some hard asks in the relationship sometimes, but that's also in our relationship with human beings. Sometimes we get involved with an individual, whether we're married to them or not. Even, it could be our children. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship in that sense, because we can be intimate with people that we're non-sexual with, right? So sometimes we might find that there's a hard ask in that. Maybe they've taken ill. Maybe they've been diagnosed with something that they're not going to get better from. And we have to dig deep, right? Dig deep in order to deliver the love and support for someone that eventually will become completely dependent on someone's assistance to be able to take, their next breath and live a life of being cared for, hygiene wise, being able to eat and stuff like that. It happens all the time. But because resentments can develop in those relationships, sometimes the person says, I'll love you to this point, but I'm not going any further. Right? So is that love? It was love up until that point, right? And so it's the same way. Sometimes in your 11th step, God is going to reveal to you that the will of God for you is something different than you had in mind. And that's where you got to dig deep and ask for the courage and the strength to carry it out. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. Hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.